time for Building Momentum, brought to you by Momentum Advocacy. If your organization, business, or corporation needs to understand the complex nature of our capital, you need to get a hold of Momentum Advocacy. Let's talk about what's going on in Minnesota today.
And we go right to the top. We've got our Amy Frederiksen with Momentum Advocacy, Building Momentum. Amy, if you don't mind, I know your organization, you alone, you have decades upon decades of experience with Minnesota politics, correct? I mean, I don't know if you guys have, did you all add it up somewhere? It's got to be.
Yeah, it's like a century or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a lot of my numbers I have a lot of numbers in that because I'm old, but yeah.
I guess where I'm going with this is I honestly thought 2025 was going to go down as the craziest year in the history of forever in Minnesota. And 2026 said, hold my beer. We're literally the 23rd day of January, and we can't get off the front page of the national news.
No, I just did an interview with The Hill, all right, because Minnesota's back on, right, and the reporter said to me, "Take care of yourself. You guys have a lot going on," which is it's not a reporter I know.
Well, your friends, outstate friends and family, they all got comments to make, and it's like, you know what? I have very little to do with all this. I'm just living here. This is Crazyville. Let me ask you this. J.D. Vance, because we're tight. Vice President Vance was here yesterday, and I'm going to give credit. People say, "Oh, you're a right-winger." I thought his tone, I thought his wording was trying to take it down a notch. Now he's saying what we need is cooperation from the other side. I get it. The other like, yeah, you can cooperate first, but it wasn't he didn't use bad rhetorical language. He seemed pleasant enough. Maybe it's just his style. I liked his message. If I could see that coming out from all sides of the political party, I think we could take this down. Your thoughts on just J.D. Vance's conversation?
Yeah, 100%. Look, he also met with Attorney General Ellison at Ellison's request, which makes me hopeful because, I've been saying for a while, I think a lot of people have been saying for weeks now, politicians on both sides are not helping. They're hurting. No. And what's happening is that Minnesotans are caught in the middle of politicians pitting each other against each other. Right? Yeah. They're using folks as pawns for political gain, and it's real Minnesotans that are getting hurt. And it's real Minnesotans that are, like the stress and the hurt and the injury and is all on actual Minnesota citizens. And it's our leaders that have just been abject in their using this situation politically. And so I felt like the request from AG Ellison and the response and the visit from Vice President Vance was a demonstration of what needs to happen, what should have happened, and thank goodness it's happening. And I agree. I think it should be the path. It should show the way for everyone to take this down and to resolve the situation.
Bust this down for folks, because I thoroughly believe each side, someone is polling all of this. Somebody's saying that if we keep stirring this pot on our side, decide what it is, that gets our base so riled up, they're going to come to the polls. 2026 is an off-year election. Both sides, it's going to be who shows up, right? Is this for no other reason, this stirring of the pot, to get my base excited? Because, again, I think there's a lot of folks in the middle saying, I might believe this, but I can't say it because other people will be mad at me. Whatever that is, on either side. So they're hunkering down and hoping this blows the heck over and we'll decide what happens in November. They must be doing polling and that sort of thing, right?
Well,
there's got to be a reason behind it.
Yeah, of course. And and fraud polls through the roof for Republicans. So for anybody, right? I'm just amazed at how poorly the DFL have handled that. One, I'm amazed at what this administration did to have all that money stolen. And they have never answered for that. Never, not once. And in fact, their responses are, well, it's not actually $9 billion. It's only whatever. Okay, so it's only $3 billion. What are you talking about? That's not an argument. Or it didn't go directly to terrorists. It only went to buy houses and cars that terrorists lived in and drove. You're not winning. So that was that was, to my way of thinking, yes, Republicans capitalized on something that the DFL was just blowing that message from, like, and also just the administration of it, just gross. Now, on the other side of it, right? So now we've got, so I feel like if the Trump administration had come in and brought in 100 U.S. district or deputy U.S. attorneys, and were prosecuting 3 fraudulent thieving millionaires a week, they would be heroes in this state. Heroes, right? I mean, nobody wants to have people want everyone to be here legally. Anyway, we know that immigration system is broken, but nobody wants the criminals, right? Come in and get the bad guys, the bad actors, the murderers, the rapists, take them out. Get them gone. And also with this fraud thing, I think they saw an opening with, like, look, what's going on there? And like, we needed help. Minnesota needs help on this. We clearly cannot solve it ourselves. So there's that. But then when you start coming in and, right, you're eating at a Mexican restaurant and then arresting the cooks, like, again, okay, is someone there a murderer? Because, when you have folks in the city of Wilmer, which, by the way, is a super, conservative, Trumpy town, right? When they're saying, hey, this is hurting a lot of us. When you see I'm a Republican. I believe in the Fourth Amendment. When I see warrantless, like, breaking down of people's doors, I don't like it. You got a bad guy in there, go get him, but get a warrant. That's how America works. There's just, economically, we're seeing an impact. The restaurants in Minneapolis are reporting sales down by 50%. To compare it to COVID was around 10, maybe a little more, 10 to 12%. So that's the kind of damage this is doing. And again, it just seems like half of it is for super political reasons, because who disagrees that people that are here illegally shouldn't be taken out, criminals that are here illegally shouldn't be deported? Nobody, right? Who agrees that $1 billion or more in stealing taxpayer money and from funds that are meant for autistic children and homeless people isn't the worst kind of, just terrible criminal behavior? Everyone agrees, and yet for some reason we all feel like we got to fight each other over it. I don't get it.
Well, and again, it just seems like such a conspiracy theory, but I think you're onto something. What would it be, 10 months ago? We were talking gun legislation, right? The Hoffmans and the Hortmans were shot, and we might even have a special session to get this. We're going to fix this. Does that seem like forever ago now? Then it was fraud, and then the Republicans are winning, and now it's this. My point is, you tell me what the topic is going to be in the 2026 election.
Impossible to tell you, Al, because, right, remember, this year started with a split House, and then somebody who didn't live in their district, and then a month of the House DFL refusing to show up, right? Remember that? I don't even know how long ago that was. Like, and then
the Supreme Court had to get involved. Supreme Court had to get involved 3 times to tell you what the word is, and then the cat burglar.
Right. And then a Senator cat burglar was prosecuted finally after a year and a half, right? And then and then the horror of June, which I thought, this will be the everything what everyone will be talking about. By the way, Senator Hoffman, he's doing pretty well, and thank God, that man is a gift, and thank goodness he's doing well, and his wife, how, I don't know, a miracle. But we lost Speaker Hortman. We haven't even been back yet, Al. The legislature has not been back yet since her death. Since the shooting. They're going to have to go on the floor on February 17th for the first time since my entire time in politics, because she was elected 2004, I believe, and I was elected in 2005. My entire time in politics has only had Melissa Hortman in it, and we're going to go back. And that Annunciation. Remember, this is the second visit that Vice President Vance came. Annunciation, you had a crazy person that was writing anti-Trump stuff on bullets that he was putting into children. This is Minnesota? What is going on?
Thank you for that. And you didn't even cover everything. There's so much. No. You had the senator who was picked up for trying to pick up a kid. I mean, oh my God.
The GOP senator for child sex trafficking.
I mean, this isn't the Minnesota we grew up in. Now, the 20 below this morning, I remember other 20 belows, but this is not the Minnesota you grew up in. And we got to find a way back. I want to talk to you on the other side. The race it's muddled, to be quite frank. We'll talk about that with Amy Frederiksen from Momentum Advocacy right after this.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Think about it. Now that school's back in session, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
As in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
I get Amy Frederiksen in with Momentum Advocacy to talk about what's going on. I throw it at this. I think the Democrats have a huge leg up on the Republicans in a couple of ways. They waited forever to find out if Walz wanted in. He got in. He then gets out, and then it was Senator Klobuchar's if she wants it. I mean, that's what everybody's going with. And she has, quote unquote, waited forever. That's my quote. And now, as of today, she did file with the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board. She's going to get in. I throw it to you this. The Democrats seem to know who's next in line, and everyone holds that line. On the Republican side, 15 people in. It's more like a concert without reserved seating. Everyone's fighting and elbowing to get to the front of the front row. We do it differently, the Republicans. And is there something to the fact we haven't won in 30 years?
Right. So, yeah. So everything we're hearing, actually, we've heard that Senator Klobuchar is going to announce officially on Monday for governor, which is, she's a juggernaut in the race, right? That's a big move. And I see something like a Speaker Dameth versus Senator Klobuchar battle heating up. And that, first of all, I'm I'm so pleased. I'm excited about that. I don't think it's an accident. I think Minnesota's in a really tough spot, and I think we're very lucky to have some really strong candidates in. But you're right, Al, and vice versa. We had Michelle Tafoya jump in yesterday for the U.S. Senate for on the GOP side, which is interesting because we have basically had nobody in the U.S. Senate race, zero anybody in the Senate race, and now we've got Michelle Tafoya, who's got a lot.
Well, you knew Senator Han, right? He got in, but he kind of got washed away in the cycle. He signs up and is like, too much going on.
Well, he runs for so many things, and I'm not a big fan of him as a candidate. It's just he's not the right candidate. But Tafoya's a real candidate with a lot of name, ID, and ability to raise money, and so that makes that race interesting, and also complicates things for the DFL on that one, because to this point, I think you can make an argument that, well, Peggy Flanagan is like the base candidate. She can drive out the base. Angie Craig is somebody who won in a purple district by double digits, 14 points in the last election. So, up to this point, electability really wasn't a part of that DFL debate because there wasn't anybody of any note running on the GOP side. So who cared? Like either of them could win. The argument that I can win or this can be a tough race was hard to make. That's not the case anymore. Tafoya has made that a real race for the DFL, and so electability is going to enter the DFL conversation there. I think what you're talking about, one, Republicans just do things differently, right? We've always been adherent to this endorsement process. The DFL have long abandoned that for a primary. I'm a fan. I liked the endorsement from a grassroots imprimatur, but we have so adhered to it, and they have been choosing really badly, Al. The endorsement, they have been choosing based on, when you have, a guy who was the mayor of Lexington, Minnesota, who won by 2 votes, being the sort of kingmaker at our endorsing convention a couple of years ago for governor, there's something wrong, right? You're not thinking about big long-term winning things. You're just thinking about who do I like in this moment and who thinks the most like me. And that tends to be very core people. And that's just not where people are in Minnesota. And they've been doing a really poor job of endorsing. I think it's because they don't take their job seriously. And then we get to the primary and nobody runs in the primary, or the people that run, like the endorsement gets it because we've been so strong. Also, because we have not had someone elected in 20 years, it creates a scarcity. If you have someone that's a leader of the party and de facto leader in a governor, like Governor Pawlenty, you start bringing people up with you, right? You start, or if you win state auditor races or state secretary of state races, or whatever, there sort of starts to build a bench because people see it's possible. It's kind of like, the 4-minute mile, right? Somebody had to break it, and now people break it on the regular, but it was thought to be, or let's call it the speed of sound, right? Oh, you can never go faster than the speed of sound. Somebody breaks it. Now we break it all the time. Republicans for 20 years have known that you can't win statewide. And that gets into your mental space. And quality candidates don't want to run. And even candidates that when they do run don't get the support that they need. It's a self-perpetuating problem that it's going to take a lot to break out of. But, I'm starting to see some signs of that in this election, and I'm excited.
I just heard, we had Michelle Tafoya on the program yesterday. Let me ask you this, because she is an interesting candidate to me on a couple levels. First off, a woman, that's good. We have other women running. That's not the point. But for to win statewide, you need to win that the outside the metro, the suburb.
Suburban ring, yeah.
Yeah, and she's a woman who has told Trump that he should not have run 4 years ago. She had a letter. We talked about it yesterday, and we didn't get to it, but we will. She's also pro-choice. Now, I think that hurts her in the base of the Republican Party, but if she got the nod, that's got to help in that suburban ring. Do you think she has a real shot? You know what I'm saying? She takes away a lot from the left.
Right. So, no, she does. And I've been looking and following, it's Facebook. People say it's Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but I do follow the trends. Like, I kind of look at not who's saying what or focused on a comment, but I focus on what's the body of I know this post is going to reach a lot of super MAGA people. What are they saying? Are they bringing up the Trump thing? They weren't, by the way. Yeah. I saw a bunch of base people talking, and yes, they brought up, the pro-choice, pro-life issue came up some, but there was a real mixed message on that, whereas 10 years ago, that would not have been the case. It would have been you're out. And I'm not seeing that. And I think, again, that comes to 20 years of wandering in the desert for the GOP on a statewide candidate. I think they're like, look, if we're going to get something done, we got to start winning these big races, which is true, by the way. Or you're just philosophically arguing politics. So yeah, no, I think she's got a real shot.
All right, fair enough. And we'll get to see it as we go. I thank you so very much for coming on the program. You know I love having you on, and you say it the way you feel, and I love it. I appreciate you being on the program.
Thank you. No, not a politician now, but I love being on with you, Al. So.
No, I know. I love having you on. Let me ask you this. If someone wanted to get something through, I got 1 minute. Somebody wanted to get something through the legislature this next year. We have no idea what's going to be on the top of the thing. I got to presume if you're not top of the line awareness, you have to have momentum advocacy on your side. Otherwise, how are you going to get it through this minefield? Am I wrong?
Even folks with a lot of political clout and a lot of political know-how, it's going to be a really tough year. We got a divided legislature. I would recommend, look, I'd love you to call Momentum Advocacy, and we're happy to help. But if you're trying to do something at the Capitol this year, next year, and go ongoing, get some help. Minnesota and the Minnesota Capitol is a tough place to navigate, and it's good to have a friend there. And somebody who's paid. Yep.
Momentum-advocacy.com. Go there. They can make a phone call and just find out if you guys would be a good match. They can do that.
Yeah, we'd love that. Right. We'd love that.
Amy, love having you on. Appreciate you. We'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate you.
And that's another Building Momentum with Momentum Advocacy. Your friends at the Capitol. Join us every other week to discuss all things Minnesota with Building Momentum with Momentum Advocacy.